the Academy Award for the Best Performance of an Actress in Supporting Roles during 1939 to Hattie McDaniel.
Today, if you walk into any cinema hall, you will likely spot several black faces on movie posters. Denzel Washington or Michael B. Jordan, the beautiful Zendaya or even Megan Good, but that wasn't the case a few decades back. But then, in came the scent angel. In the golden age of Hollywood, amidst the glittering lights and silver screens, Hattie McDaniel emerged as a beacon of change, a symbol of both triumph and struggle. In a time marred by racial segregation and prejudice, McDaniel carved out a space for herself, becoming a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of resilience and talent.
Out of my way, 8-ball.
Who wants to get in your way?
Hey, you, wait a minute.
What you want?
Where'd you get that gold brooch?
You mean this scrumptious piece of jewelry?
With World War II wreaking havoc all over, 1940 marked a significant milestone in the annals of cinema history. Hattie McDaniel graced the grand stage of the 12th Academy Awards, not just as a nominee but as a victor, shattering barriers as the first black actress to win an Oscar. This victory was not confined to a personal accolade. It hinted at the dawn of a new era, a glimpse into a future where talent could overshadow the color of one's skin.
Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, fellow members of the motion picture industry, and honored guests. This is one of the happiest moments of my life.
Yet the journey was far from smooth. The same industry that celebrated her prowess was also the breeding ground for stereotypes and racial barriers that confined her to roles that did little justice to her talent. The accolades came with a heavy price, a reflection of the deeply entrenched racial barriers of the time. A keen look at the intricate tapestry of McDaniel's life uncovers a narrative marked by victory and adversity, highs and lows, triumphs and trials. A woman who defied norms, who stood tall amidst prejudice, and whose legacy continues to inspire. McDaniel's story is a vivid portrayal of a trailblazer who dared to challenge the status quo, setting a precedent for those who followed in her footsteps. Her life began like any other. In the bustling streets of Wichita, Kansas, a star was born. McDaniel, the youngest of 13 siblings, stepped into a world that was far from ready to embrace her brilliance. From a young age, her life was a testament to resilience and determination. The McDaniel family moved to Denver, Colorado, where the then young McDaniel discovered her love for the performing arts, a passion that would carve her path in the annals of Hollywood history.
Private Jones is camping on the doorstep of Miss Katie Brown. She must be the very, very coldest creature in this town.
Hattie's early career was marked by a series of performances in minstrel shows and vaudeville, a popular form of entertainment during that era. Her talent was undeniable, a powerful voice that resonated with audiences, transcending the barriers of race and prejudice that marked the society of that time. As she transitioned to the world of cinema, she brought with her a richness of experience, a depth that added layers to her performances on the silver screen. However, the roles offered to her were often steeped in stereotypes, a reflection of the racial dynamics of that period. Despite the limitations, Hattie infused her roles with dignity and grace, turning caricatures into characters that resonated with audiences. But as fate may have it, in the midst of her burgeoning career, a significant milestone awaited. The role of Mammy in Gone with the Wind presented an opportunity, a platform to showcase her prowess as an actress. It was a role that would etch her name in history, a beacon of hope in a landscape marred by racial prejudice. As Hattie stood on the cusp of a historic achievement, the world watched with bated breath, a moment that would transcend the boundaries of cinema, echoing the changing tides of a society grappling with the complexities of race and identity. Fast forward to 1940. a time when the world was on the brink of change, yet held firmly in the grasp of old prejudices. The 12th Academy Awards ceremony was no exception. The grandeur of the event was marred by the rampant segregation during that period. Yet, submerged in the glittering gowns and flashing cameras, Hattie had arrived, embodying grace and dignity, ready to etch her name in history. The Coconut Grove, a part of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, buzzed with anticipation. The stars of the day gathered, yet the segregation lines were clearly drawn. Hattie and her escort were relegated to a small table set against a far wall, a stark contrast to the central seating accorded to her Gone with the Wind co-stars. Still, her spirit remained unbroken, her resolve unshaken. As Faye Bainter called out her name, announcing her victory for the Best Supporting Actress, a wave of applause echoed through the hall. Hattie rose, her walk to the podium a testament to her journey, a path marked with trials and triumphs. The spotlight finally found her, shining brightly on a woman who had defied the odds, breaking barriers that had held many back.
Ice cold Katie, won't you marry the soldier? Ice cold Katie, won't you do it today?
With tears glistening in her eyes, she accepted the golden statuette, a symbol of her victory, not just as an actress, but as a beacon of hope for many who dared to dream. Her speech, marked by grace and humility, resonated with many, a moment that transcended the boundaries of race and prejudice, echoing the changing tides in a society grappling with the complexities of race and identity.
And I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards. For your kindness, it has made me feel very, very humble.
As the applause settled, the newly crowned Best Actor stepped back into the shadows, a historic victory etched in time, yet a reminder of the long road ahead, a journey towards equality and recognition in an industry and a world that was slowly awakening to change. The Oscar victory was a beacon of light in a career overshadowed by the pervasive racism of the era. Instantly turning to a household name, Hattie found herself at the intersection of fame and prejudice. The accolades brought her into the limelight, yet the shadows of racism loomed large, tainting the sweetness of her victory. In the wake of her historic win, the hotly trailed screen star was slated to attend the Oscars after-party, a celebration of the industry's finest. Shockingly, the doors of the club remained firmly shut to her, a glaring reminder of the deep-seated racism that permeated society. The club, a place where the glitterati of Hollywood gathered, upheld a whites-only policy, a policy that barred Hattie from joining her peers in celebration. But despite the snubs and the blatant racism, Hattie carried herself with a grace that defied the norms of the time. Her journey was marked by a series of demeaning roles and characters that were confined to the stereotypes of the era. Unshaken, she brought depth to her performances, winning more fans in the process. As Hattie continued navigating the complex landscape of Hollywood, she forged relationships with other cast members, producers, and directors. Still, these relationships were often marred by prejudice and segregation. Her interactions with her peers were a testament to her resilience, a quality that allowed the ambitious actress to carve out a space in an industry that was reluctant to change. This journey was far from easy, but Hattie stood as a beacon of hope, a symbol of what was possible in the face of adversity. Her story was a vivid portrayal of a woman who dared to challenge the status quo, setting a precedent for those who followed in her footsteps, a narrative of resilience and grace for anyone who had the courage to emulate her path. By this time, Hattie knew that having an Oscar plaque in her closet wasn't going to be enough to change things. Her relationship with fellow cast members was a mixed bag of respect and prejudice. While some admired her talent and resilience, others could not look past the color of her skin. Clark Gable, a prominent figure in the industry, was one of the few who stood by her.
You've been brave so long, Miss Scarlett. You just gotta go on being brave.
Think about your Paul like he used to be.
I can't think about Paul. Can't think of anything but that $300.
Their friendship blossomed during the filming of Gone with the Wind, a bond that transcended the racial barriers of the time. Gable was appalled at the segregated facilities and even threatened to boycott the premiere in Atlanta due to the treatment meted out to Hattie. It was the actress who persuaded him to attend, showcasing her grace and understanding of the complex dynamics of the time. Yet not all were as understanding and supportive as Gable. Hattie faced criticism and prejudice from both within and outside the African American community. The NAACP criticized her for accepting roles that perpetuated stereotypes, while others in the industry treated her with disdain due to her race. So either way, her goose was already cooked. But despite the challenges, Hattie carried herself with dignity, choosing to forge ahead in an industry that was slow to change. Her interactions with industry peers were a testament to her strength and resilience, a narrative of grace in the face of adversity. As the years progressed, the Kansas native sought to redefine her space in an industry that had often confined her to roles that did little justice to her talent. The woman who had once graced the stage with her powerful voice now sought to bring depth and nuance to the characters she portrayed on screen. Despite the accolades and the historic Oscar win, Hattie found herself pigeonholed, confined to roles that perpetuated stereotypes. Luckily, she was not one to be easily deterred. With a spirit unbroken, Hattie ventured into radio, becoming the first African-American woman to star in her own radio show, The Beulah Show. In the show, she brought to life the character of Beulah, a maid, but with a depth and complexity that challenged the norms of the time. Her journey on radio was not without hurdles as well. The criticism from the African-American community continued, with many accusing her of perpetuating negative stereotypes. Again, Hattie stood firm in her convictions, choosing to carve out a space where she could bring dignity and respect to herself and those that believed in her. As Hattie navigated the changing landscape of the entertainment industry, she became the role model that young black actors needed. In the later years of her career, the actress continued to seek roles that allowed her to showcase her range as an actress. Seldom lucky, she never gave up, or even showed signs of it. She remained steadfast, fighting with every fiber in her being. But Hattie was not alone in her fight for equality. There weren't so many, but they existed. One such artist was Fredi Washington, a remarkable actress who graced the screens in the 1930s. Despite her fair complexion, she refused to pass as white, a decision that came with its own set of challenges. Fredi chose to embrace her identity, to the shock of millions who thought that being white, or rather, identifying as white at the time, was the fashionable thing to do. At the same time, the industry witnessed the rise of Evelyn Preer, a powerhouse of talent who sought to redefine the roles offered to black women in early Hollywood. Her efforts to fund a school for sharecroppers' children showcased her commitment to upliftment and change, a narrative that echoed the changing dynamics of the time. During this same era, fates were realized of artists like Frankie Lyman, whose performance in the 1950s brought to light the stark realities of racial prejudice when a predominantly white audience realized that the artist performing before them was black. These stories are but a glimpse into the lives of artists who navigated a path fraught with racial barriers at a time when your skill or talent mattered the least, but your grit and strength topped everything you needed in order to survive. Ultimately, to this day, the name Hattie McDaniel stands clear above the rest, from breaking boundaries for black actors, but most importantly, winning the Oscars at a time when it was meant to be an all-white affair. Her journey, marked by highs and lows, is a vivid tapestry of grace, determination, and unyielding spirit. As the curtains fell on the golden era of Hollywood, the legacy of Hattie and her contemporaries lingered, echoing through the corridors of time. Their stories, woven with threads of courage and resilience, became the foundation upon which a new generation of artists would build. The struggles and triumphs of the first-ever Black Oscar winner were not isolated. They were a part of a larger narrative, a narrative that saw artists of color breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, and paving the way for a more inclusive and diverse industry. In the face of adversity, Hattie chose to stand tall, to bring dignity and depth to her roles, and to be a voice for those who were silenced. Her legacy is not just in the roles she portrayed on screen, but in the barriers she broke, in the paths she forged, in the hope she instilled. Looking back on the life and career of Hattie, the world is reminded of the power of resilience, of the ability to dream amid challenges, and of the spirit to forge ahead when the odds are stacked against you. Her story is a beacon of hope, a reminder that change is possible, that dreams can be realized, and barriers can be broken. In the end, Hattie McDaniel's story is not just a chapter in Hollywood's history. It is a narrative of change, a testament to the power of resilience, a beacon of hope in a world striving for equality and justice. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.